You go.
Hey, ladies. How are you?
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome, Experience family, to another A Ladies edition of The Experience. Happy Sunday.
Thank you, ma'am.
How's everyone's weekend been?
Good. It's raining in New York. It's pouring. It's like
Yeah.
Same here
cats,
in North Carolina.
cats and dogs all day, and it's cold. That's the other thing. It's cold.
We're
So
not.
you inside then?
I'm like, that's why I got on my hoodie. I'm like, I'm cold.
Yeah, same here. It was
Yeah.
chilly and rainy, so I've been in the house. But yeah, nice and restful. Been taking naps. You know, we don't do that enough.
It's that weather. It's that weather, right?
All right.
I got you. So, how was everyone's weekend besides it being super rainy?
It's good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. So, we have been talking about different sexual things in the last couple of weeks. We have done 4 series, and today's our 4th series. We talked about, ways you can do it and ways we've been aroused. Well, now we're going to talk about the thing that we usually don't want to talk about, and that's the challenges that we as women experience in different stages of our life that we tend to shy away from, that we don't even sometimes talk to with our mothers, our aunties, or our close friends, because it's embarrassing. It's not easy to say out loud, and a lot of times we don't even understand what's going on with ourselves to talk about it, right? So we kind of suffer in silence, which we tend to be really good at, right? We're superheroes in silence. So can we all relate to the challenges that come with that? With the challenges, like we've experienced some sort of challenge, whether it be big for us or not. Cool. All right. So here's the big one. I know Pleasure Plug, she has that. So let's go ahead and talk about men create this fantasy that every time they get in it, they're gonna give us an orgasm. We're gonna be hooting and hollering, squishing and squashing, right? Doing all that great wet stuff. I'm just saying that's what they paint this picture. Well, tell them the facts, Pleasure Plug. Tell them the facts of some of the things that we as women experience.
Honestly, well, and I'll start by saying, like, we need to stop, okay? Like, and hold ourselves accountable, because we need to stop acting and let the people know. For real though, like, start with you, because do we really feel that good? You know what I'm saying? Like, let him know it's okay, or her, let your partner know, hey, no, or slow down, or hey, no, do that a little more gentle. Hey, no, do this softer, go slower, speed up, whatever. But like, communicate either way on all levels. That is very, very important. And that comes with, since we're closing out April and celebrating, those who have been sexually abused and, that have that trauma, a lot of people aren't brave enough to, confess it or whatever, right? Because usually it happened, with someone close to you, or like a family member, or like a trusted loved one. So unless you go to therapy, that's why I encourage us, Black folk, we don't go to therapy. Yes, we do. All right, we do.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. We go to therapy. It ain't enough of us. We need more Black therapists. Okay.
Right.
But anyway, but I say that to say, like, it's okay to recognize that and then heal. And then sometimes that healing doesn't take, like, and it's not an overnight process. And then it can cause mental blockages, because I know personally it has for me. When you can come to the realization, like, oh no, that happened to me, like, what now at this big age, after all this time? Who do I tell? Like, who is it going to affect? How is it going to impact my current life? You know what I mean? Like, none of that matters. What matters is you healing from it, and then you going back to have whatever crucial conversations are necessary for you forward. So yeah, like that's very important. It's very big because if you don't have certain communicative like cues, you can be triggered. You know what I mean? And you don't, and then your partner or lover just be like, "Whoa, wait, where'd that come from?" Or, anything can happen, and it's just very important to have that mental stability there and trust. Yeah, before any type of like sexual act. But okay.
Well,
A little bit.
one of the issues that I had early on in my womanhood is all my friends were getting their menstrual cycle, and I'm sitting here, in kitty zone, because that's what my friend used to call it, in kitty zone with no period. But you couldn't tell, the rest of my body was doing its thing, but I didn't get my period. So at 17, I got my period once. And then it kind of did a peekaboo thing at 18, and I started getting like chin whiskers. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. What's happening? But you know what I mean? I'm looking for, hey, Yogi, what's happening? You know what I mean? So what I got diagnosed with was polycystic ovaries. And you would think, well, at least I did. I thought, okay, it's on my ovaries. What does it have to do with anything? Well, it caused other issues. It caused issues with becoming, what we say, getting wet. And then, of course, I went and lost my virginity, and I became an Oscar award winner during sexual.
Okay.
That was just me. The reason why is when I just went through the motions of sex and just oohed and awed when it made me ooh and ah, it was not arousing for my partner, right? Because a man wants to feel like he hitting every part and making you moan. I was too busy worried about the moments where it's like really I felt lubricated, and it was just kind of like spots of non-lubrication, which was normal. So I was getting some external lubrication. External lubrication. But I was young. What did I know? You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I struggle with that a lot. And then after sex, I would have my vaginal walls would be swollen.
Yeah, because you need that lubrication. Is
the lubrication. And then, of course, after I went through treatment and ta-da, I ended up pregnant because the show didn't stop it from.
I say it ain't stop nothing. Right.
After I went through that and a lot of those cysts were gone, whatever, I noticed an increase in lubrication and things like that. But do you understand? I went years, right? Of just not knowing. And who was I going to talk to about it? I didn't know what was going on. You know what I mean? As long as when we're done, my partner was like, I did that. I would just stop. Yeah. I'm just being real. I was young. I was ignorant. So that is something that I don't experience anymore, but that definitely messed with my self-esteem, my feeling that I'm woman enough for my partner. And I'm sure there are other people who experience that, but that comfort to have that conversation is something else. So anyway, that's what I know. So I know we all know different things. So what other things do we experience as sexual challenges?
So what I'm hearing from you ladies is that essentially sex should be pleasurable. It should not be super boring.
It should be fun all the way through.
That's the whole. I think that's the whole point of it.
Yeah,
every time.
That girl said every time it should be on and popping.
I mean, what are we doing it then? Like, come on.
That's not an exchange of pleasure and intimacy. Yeah. Well, it should be intimacy, but an exchange of pleasure, a form of expression. Yeah. When you have feelings or not feelings, you're just expressing two different things. Even when you have a sexual experience by yourself, are you not communicating the desire to be pleasured in some sense of, you're being intimate with yourself. Yeah. So that's my thought of it. Otherwise, we could just watch TV and laugh.
We can definitely watch TV. Like if the point of, I believe the point of sex is to enjoy it.
Okay.
And I feel as though a lot of women are walking around, a lot of men, I mean, I don't know about men so much, but we women is like there's women who are walking around and they're just not enjoying it. It feels like a chore. It feels like it's like they're doing it by rote. It's not
baby, the numbers do not lie. Okay, we not orgasming out here. Period. Go Google it. Like, it's a real thing. It's numbers. We're not. We are faking it. I don't care. Stop faking it. We need to let people know what to do.
But I mean, it's funny because I feel as though you can also. I mean, you can have sex and not have an orgasm and it still be good.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it can still be fun, right?
Yeah, it can still be good. But at the end of the day, if it's like what if the answer is what is the end game, right? If the end game, there has to be some sort of end game here, right? So, you know, when he's done and you roll over or whatever, and it's like, all right, well, I didn't get where I had to go or whatever the case may be. If he's in tune with you, he should know that.
Gotcha.
If he can't tell that you was in there, like you said, Oscar-winning performances, then I think there's a problem, and I feel as though that's the thing. Is like it's about communicating, right? So more than anything, if it's not right, you gotta say you have to say something, because what happens is that then you start building resentment. You start building, you start looking for something else to get you where you needed to go. There's a lot of different things that can happen. It's a domino effect. And I feel as though I don't know if it's the generation before us, and maybe generation before that, or whatever the case may be. I think sometimes a lot of the women that I want to say in my mother's category, or my auntie category, whatever the case may be, they may not have been getting it the way they need to, like the way they need to be getting it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, so sex is not because sex, I think, was about
procreation,
right? So okay, we procreate. But here's the funny thing about that, because it's about procreating, but why does it feel so good for a man? You see? So obviously it's not about just procreating, because if it was just about procreating, it wouldn't feel good to him either. He would bust up and it would be the end of that. So obviously something is a reason why it feels good to him, because it's supposed to feel good to you too. I mean,
it's an exchange. It's an exchange.
Yeah. And I was just listening and thinking, like, as far as like challenges, like my upper quads have spoken to to their challenges, right? And all of us, even those that are out there in the audience, I'm sure, and ain't no thought, I know that all of us have experienced some form of challenge when it comes to our sexuality. And let me be more specific, when it comes to our sexual activity. Because even when, and even with what you said, miscommunication, like, I don't think women of our mother or our grandmother's age were sitting around having conversation about the pains, literally, that they may have been experiencing for various reasons. And even now, I'm thinking, like, as we're talking, I remember when I was younger, it was a free highway, okay? No problems at all. And I do mean at all. Now, as things progressed, being with multiple partners, it created situations of vaginal discharge, vaginal pain that was associated with medical conditions. Because, and we spoke to this earlier on during this series, in one of the episodes, when we was talking about what not to do, trying to make sure that we empower our young people and older people too, about being mindful of how many partners you're having, and being unprotected, because it will create a unhealthy biome in your vaginal cavity. So you got to be
recently in your throat.
Right. And so, right. And so now that I'm older, well, I think I was in my mid-20s. I realized after I had my kids that my cervix used to be further back, and my gynecologist, she still says it's back. It's not as back as it used to be. No, I'm serious. Because
No.
as I'm
No,
getting
no,
older,
I believe you. It's just the way you said it was like,
Yeah, it's back as it used to
the way you say
because the thing is, like, I remember an experience that I had with a particular partner that I had years before. And I realized, wait a minute, sweetheart, you are hurting me. And he was hurting me because he was hitting my cervix. When some years prior, he wasn't hitting my cervix. It wasn't until after I had my kids. So your body truly goes through changes.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're not in tune with your body, as Madam Plug had said earlier, like, you got to communicate. If somebody is hitting something or you are experiencing pain, you need to, like, let it be known. This is not comfortable. This hurts. And even miscommunication, when you was talking about the man, I got tickled on the inside because it's a lot of men out here that are scabbed up, burnt up, as we used to say back in the day. Because you're not going to tell me if I'm not lubricated enough.
yes.
You understand what I'm saying? And you
Yes.
just plowing away because we trying to procreate, or in
You doing
today's standards,
something.
ain't nobody procreating. Well, they
You
are, but
procreating a fire.
yeah, you understand? Right.
Because if
So
it don't feel good to me, I'm over here and it feels like sandpaper,
It
then
can't
why are
be.
you still doing this? Like, it hurts. Ow.
Absolutely.
So why do you think that? Because it's not just young girls. I don't want to say
It's not. It's all across the board.
Why is it that we can be in such a vulnerable state? Because it is a vulnerable state, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we are not just body to body. We are inside, you know, right? And for those of us who believe we are, you know, connecting souls, connecting spirits, whatever, how you want to say it, why can't we take a moment and be like, baby, this ain't working? Or this, you know, I like it this way. What is it? Because I think no matter what we discuss, and we'll get into more, and that's fine. What do you feel? I mean, I have my.
I think it's shame and embarrassment.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree. I also think, and I'm challenging us to think a little deeper. When most of our time, and we're saying a decent partner, not just I'm having sex with anybody, okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If we cannot satisfy our man that way, there is a fear that he'll find someone else who can. So we just want to do what we do the best that we can, so that that person, I mean, I say man because, you know, people do have different kind of partner, but that person chooses us. And it doesn't always have to be a self-esteem issue. It's just, right? We want this relationship. We want this sexual activity. Again, I know it's not every situation.
So you want to call it fear? You want to call it like fear of abandonment? That kind of energy?
That's
If
good.
I'm sort of, yes. But I also want to say, maybe it's like, if I'm a woman and I can't satisfy you, then what's my job?
Wow. Well, I mean, that is a thing. I think that also people are not communicative the way it used to be, or like you don't know. Like, I feel as though I'm at a stage where a closed mouth don't get fed. That's where I feel.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I say, but prior to this, I would rock whatever you rocking with and roll whatever you rolling with. But now, person that I am right now, I have gotten to a state, at least with my body, that I'm not just going to just do whatever to satisfy you. I have to say or do, like I'm not there anymore. I used to be, and it was more about communication. So, are you saying it before it happens, after it happens, while it's happening? Like, when are we doing this? And I've had conversations where it's like, okay, so remember the last time it wasn't the way, and that kind of thing, or what, right before it happened, right before it's going down, you know what, let's try something different because the last time did it. But it's all about the ego, right? So you don't want to brew because men's ego is, I don't care what nobody said, that thing is fragile.
It's fragile. And to your
That
point,
thing is fragile.
to your point, I would just say like my reasoning would be like the safety of being able to have the conversation because you feel vulnerable enough. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like I have to feel safe. And in terms of like when to have the conversation, I think it depends. So like of course always before, but like sometimes it needs to happen during. So, so for instance, and I'm this TMI, but like
No,
No, it's not.
you're in a safe space.
Unless you go like Bobby Jones.
I ain't gonna call no names,
You're
but
in a safe space, sis.
so during a situation, he felt my IUD and he was like, "Well, do you feel that?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I feel it. Do you feel it? Does it hurt you?" Like
Right.
I had like that had to happen in the moment.
That
Because
conversation.
if it hurt him, we had to stop, right?
Right.
But if it didn't, then I was like, well, let's keep going because it ain't hurting me. I feel it, but it don't hurt. So like
Right.
we had to that, you know what I mean? Like, all right, cool, let's like, but that I'm silly enough to be like, well, shit, if I could like,
Yeah.
but it just depends on I felt safe enough with him to talk about that in that moment. He was, we clearly had clear communication about our encounters. So like, long as I make sure he wasn't uncomfortable and it wasn't like pain for him, I was like, well, shit, let's get it. And he was sure I was okay. So it was like, yeah, to me, in those moments, it's very important that you do, but of course, always before. So if that makes sense, yeah.
What about when you have trauma and you haven't addressed that?
And it like happens like, okay, like, so say for instance, you playing with somebody back door and they ain't told you about the trauma they had when they was a little child or something like that. And then like all of a sudden they spaz out. Like that's when it's serious. Like you got to sit down, like stop all activity. You know what I mean? Don't keep going. When they, when something like that happens and there's an emotional response, you want to give them the space and the opportunity to kind of just stop and slow down, have a conversation. Do you want to share? Do you feel comfortable enough to share? Because sometimes in that moment, that's just not the space, or like you haven't worked it out with the therapist already. You know what I mean? So it's sensitive. So you just want to give them the space to, and if they don't speak about it, like, just what do you want to do next? Like, if that wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Can I give them hand? Like, will it make it better? Like, you know what I mean? Just it, but
no, I'm with you. I'm 1,000%.
Like you can turn the moment, or you could or it could just be like ruined. That kind of depends on where the person is, and they have to communicate that with you, and they have to feel safe enough to be able to, you know what? I don't want to get into it right now, but it's some stuff I need to deal with, blah, blah, blah. Like, let's not do that or whatever. Like, as long as you can just say, hey, no, I'm dealing with some things, or I need to deal with some things, and then we can talk about it, or whatever the case may be. Just don't leave the people in the dark, because if you like me, I'll fill in the blanks, and you don't want me filling the blanks because it's gonna be
filling in the blanks is never good in any relationship. But yeah,
right. But yeah,
but I know miscommunication has had a situation, or not a personal situation, a situation and a challenge that's called what? Do you have that name?
It is called vaginismus.
Okay, and tell us about that.
So vaginismus is defined as the body's automatic reaction to the fear of being penetrated. So this is usually with a woman, obviously vaginismus. And I had a friend who was diagnosed with vaginismus, where she went to the doctor and everything, and they said, her opening was, like even down to like when they go, she go into the gynecologist and the speculum, and it was just it was very, very like, tense and tight. And she, at the time, she was married and she was trying to, have a baby. And obviously they weren't going to go the route of, in vitro or anything like that, because it wasn't like anything was wrong with either one of them, medically, but this was an issue. So, she would, she was dealing with someone, and she started leaning on this specific person, and she ain't no vaginismus no more. Because, he was like, literally, when she told me the story, I was like, wait, what? Literally, he was able to like boop, and it went right, boop, and it was wet and everything was fine. So I, come to the real, when I'm talking to her, I'm like, well, maybe it's just him. Maybe you're just not feeling your husband. Maybe you're not sexually aroused by your husband. Maybe you haven't built up a certain type of intimacy with your husband. But then it's also the thing about, it's also a cultural thing, right? So she was from a culture where, it seemed, at least to me, that women weren't supposed to enjoy sex. Not supposed to enjoy it. So you're not supposed to enjoy it, and your husband is not providing you with any pleasure, then that's fine, because it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. And then she dealt with someone who was of a different culture, who, shout out to my West Indian men. Sometimes y'all be doing too. Sometimes y'all be doing what y'all gotta do. Sometimes. I'm gonna say sometimes. But anyway. And he, he was of a different school of, no, you're supposed to like this. This is supposed to be a good thing. And literally,
my ego by being pleased.
Right. I mean, it's like, that's the thing. It's like certain cultures, it's different. You know what I'm saying? Men are different. Men don't, it's not about the notch on the belt. It's about the pleasure that they provide.
Right.
Yeah. So
and in this case, she was,
So this other person, were they aware of her challenges with having sex?
Yes, because she was literally, okay, so I don't want to get, listen, if people who know me might know who I'm talking about, but maybe not. Who cares? I don't know. But point that I'm trying to make is that it was one of those things where she was like literally crying on his shoulder. Like, she was like, listen, I'm trying to get pregnant. It's not happening. I don't know what to do. I have this thing. This is what I don't know what to do. And he was like, but they were also spending a lot of time together. So they were building,
they were building intimacy
already, right?
And she trusted him where obviously she didn't trust her husband.
So literally he was like, what vaginismus?
So did the husband know? There was a husband, right?
Did the husband know about vaginismus? Yeah, I mean, he
knew because of experience,
right? But he didn't. I mean, obviously, but see, here's the thing. It got messy, but that's not the point. The point is, the vaginismus was, again, it was up here in the brain. The mismus. It was up here. You know what I'm saying? Because she was able to conceive.
But I understand that. Because that sounds like a trauma within itself also, right? Like,
yeah, because you're a wife. Listen, let me tell you something. You're a wife, right? And this is your husband, and you're supposed to be able, like you said, we talked earlier about supposed to please him, but then you have this thing, and there's not a conversation being had. I mean, they had conversations, but they were probably never the kind of conversation she was having with this other person, right? And she wasn't able to open up and be vulnerable and cry and be the person, and do all these things. She didn't feel like she was able to do that. And I mean, she was diagnosed. This was not like, because when I heard that, I was like,
it up in her head.
No, I was like, what is that? I've never heard of that before. And then, finding out, it actually is that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Well, even without the diagnosis, I feel that a lot of women go through I'm not in the right headspace to be doing these things with you. You know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, there are men who get into relationships with women and they're like, what happened to, the person that was there before? We were doing it multiple times a week, maybe a day, multiple times a day. And now, sometimes you just
listen, we change, right? Like, I mean, I could talk about myself, right? So I'm actually, for many years, I've had fibroids, right? And they have, I'm at a certain, I guess I want to say age stage or whatever, with the hot flashes and all that foolishness going on, and I'm, my personal summers and all of that, right? But I went to my, because I went to, you go to your GYN now, and it's another thing we need to do as African American women. I'm gonna talk to us for a second. We need to make sure we go to the GYN and get checked out yearly.
Yes.
Get those mammograms, those pap smears, those everything. Get those done yearly. Don't play with that, because we as African American women, by the age of 50, it's estimated that 80% of African American women will find out that they have fibroids. That's not a thing that we talk about, right? I mean, we know that, we go through these things. I was going through like having ridiculously long and heavy periods.
Yep.
Where I would cough and it was going down. Like everything was, it was coming. I could feel it coming down. I could feel the clots. It was horrible, right? So going to my GYN, speaking to her, one of the first questions she asked me after she did my examination, first of all, she did my examination, she was like, whoa. And I was like, whoa, that's not what you tell me.
Right. Okay.
She talking about whoa. She said, no, she said, are you okay? And I'm like, what do you mean? She said, does it hurt? And I'm like, when you say does it hurt, what do you mean? She said, does it hurt to have sex? And I was like, well, I was doing that thing, right? And she was like, okay, so we're gonna do some things. And she did, they did those ultrasounds and all those things like that. And I actually have fibroids the size of lemons.
Wow.
Lemons in there, right? Okay. So she said to me, let's talk about options. Option number 1, we do a myomectomy, which is removing the fibroids. Then she said, okay, we do ablation, which is like, just like cutting the
lining.
the source of the blood so that they will stop growing. And we could do that. And then she said, so listen, do you want to have children? Do you want to have any more children? And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. The shop is shut down. I don't think so. She said, okay, we could do a hysterectomy. Leave them ovaries inside there, and we can do some hormone replacements and things of that nature, but you don't need to suffer. That was the part, because I was suffering. I was going through 9-day periods, 9 days with blood, like bleeding, like praying on some real level that if I had something to go or somewhere to be or go at work, I would literally stand up at work because I'm scared if I sit and I go that's the end of me. Yeah. And then I'm embarrassed at work. So I'm planning on, seeing some specialists and, getting it removed. But I know so many women my age. And I mean, when I say my age, I mean my exact age, went to high school with them and all of them, who have had to have hysterectomies because of these fibroids and bleeding for like days and things of that nature. And it's crazy because when I hear about it, it's when it's happening, right? So we don't have this discussion so that we all know, hey, guess what? You're not alone in this. This is not just you by yourself. This is a thing. You know what I mean? It's like, it's crazy. And because we don't go to our GYNs and we better yet, we wait. That's the other thing. It's not normal to have that much of pain during your period. It's not normal to bleed like that. Right. It's not normal to have to put, a towel down everywhere you go because you're scared you're gonna bleed through. That's not normal. And we just walk, we walk with it because we keep it moving. You need to see a doctor. You need to see someone so that guess what? So that you can get that taken care of because it is not in any way, shape, or form normal. And because African American, women go through this, we are 2.4 times more likely to deal with it for longer than our counterparts. Because they go to the doctor and say, hey, wait, something's up, something. We don't do that. We just go, something's wrong, but you know what? I got things to do. I got to go take it.
I'm not laughing, but it's funny to me because I feel like you're talking to me because I literally took forever to go figure out what this pain was in my pelvic area that would literally, I'd just be walking around washing dishes or wiping the table off and it would hit me and bring me to my knees.
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, and I was like, it happened too many times for this to not be, something is wrong. So I went straight to my GYN. And sometimes you have to advocate for yourself because she was like, oh, no, you're good. And, it's fine. So we found a fibroid, but she's like, oh, that's normal. No, it's not. Like, to me, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go see somebody else because you tripping. Like, I want it gone. Like, regardless of what's happening down there, ma'am, I don't need nothing that wasn't naturally formed or don't need to be there. But sometimes you have to stand up for yourself. Like I went and got an ultrasound, everything. Like, girl, you're not about to tell me nothing is wrong when I'm in tears. Like I'm on a call, not from my 9 to 5, and I have to step away because I had to drop to the floor next to me because it hit me in the middle of a meeting. Like that type of, and I can't live like that. I'm not living my life that way.
We have to advocate for ourselves.
Like, listen to your body when you are in pain, when something hurts, when something is uncomfortable. We have to get ahead of that. That is so, so true. I'm glad I went to the doctor. I'm glad I did all my tests and we found out what it was and all that. But what if I hadn't? I would still be in pain. You know what I mean?
I think so. We'll go back a little bit, but I know you made an excellent point. Pleasure plug. some of our biggest challenges is that we go to the doctor, especially as African American women, go to the doctor, and instead of finding a solution, we find someone trying to convince us that
nothing's wrong.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong. No, it's fine.
They have a completely different problem. You know what I mean? So they can.
And so you're over there, you know, when I say over there, like it's a specific, but you go to the doctor and you already don't know, right? Because all of us don't do research and read. So you already, and if we do, we get an extreme version, like on a, you know, like a diagnose yourself type of website. And so you're going to the doctor, which is supposed to be a resource for you. And instead, it's almost like many of us experience leaving feeling like we're hypochondriac. You know, like, oh, it's in your head, or if you, you know, maybe if you lost some weight, or, and I've had people come back with serious, meaning people I know, not, I'm not a doctor, and they're like, oh, the doctor said, well, maybe if I lost some weight, or it's because I have a, my butt's big. I'm trying to say it nice, but it's not. My butt's big, or I have big breasts. Things that as African American women come naturally sometimes to our, you know, genetically. And then they find out, and I wouldn't say it's too late, but they find out further along in the process than they need to. And so a lot of it is your doctor is a resource. He's not the source. If you feel something's wrong, you need to be like, look, bro, look, sis, whatever, look, cuz, whatever you want to call him. Something is wrong.
And find another doctor. That's the other thing. But their doctor works for you. You do not work for him. Therefore, you can go and find. Listen, my doctor, I got the doctor I have now. She is a godsend. She's a godsend because she just takes every single thing I say and she wants to find out what that means.
Yeah,
what does
but
that
she's
mean?
not a god. Do you see what I'm saying? And I think
no, absolutely not. They practice medicine.
Yeah, what I'm saying is a lot of us go to the doctor and go, oh, this person went to medical school. They're still human.
Right? They can be wrong.
We are the biggest, and I'm going to use your word, miscommunication. We are the biggest advocate for ourselves. And if we are failing ourselves to find the thing that's stopping us from being sexual or being pleased or just breathing in peace, that's not right.
I check that. Because you can't blame at that point, you can't blame anybody but yourself. And at the end of the day, I mean, everybody come, you know, women come close. Listen. It's very important. You gotta stop putting things off. I was the biggest person for putting things off and saying, oh no, I'm not gonna do that. Stop it. Go to the doctor. Stop it. No, for real. Go to the doctor. There's so many different ways they could take care of this. It's so, like, take for instance, you know, Marsai Martin from Blackish. She had a cyst, an ovarian cyst, the size of a grapefruit for 4 years since she was 14 years old. She got diagnosed when she was 14, and she finally had the surgery when she was 18 years old. Which means that she suffered for 4 years because in our community, we are taught that you're supposed to have a painful period. You're supposed to XY. You're supposed to bleed like that. No, you're not supposed to do any of those things. Those things are not what we're. Stop accepting that you have to live in pain. That's not a thing anymore. That's not a thing. You're in pain, go see somebody. You're in pain, go find out why. Diagnostic. They have all this technology out here in these streets, and we sitting there talking about, nah, you know what? I'm gonna just bleed until whenever. So I'm scheduling my hysterectomy. I'm looking forward to it. You know what I'm saying? So by the time the summer is finished, I'll be ready to go. You know what I'm saying?
So what about some of our, and I know older women do it also, but what about some of our younger women who run to go get on birth control? And they're like, hey, I'm good. I'm not going to get pregnant. I could be out there. But yet they find themselves in different situations. Have we heard of that? Some of our young women who are experiencing rapid weight gain,
imbalanced pH and hormones,
pH,
crazy.
Just a lot of other things. High blood pressure.
It can affect you in so many ways, and it's
have a stroke. You can literally have a stroke. Yeah, they tell it's actually part. I think ever since we were younger, and they had that little contain. I remember they used to have the one look like a dial, and you had, you know, the weeks or whatever, and all them things.
It was Nor something.
All them things there, girl. Because you know they had all kinds of colors, and all
Right.
kinds of packages, and everybody had a little thing.
Off brand.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody had a little thingy. You know, it was almost like a badge of honor. I got birth control pills, whatever. Anyway,
Right. Well,
the doctor tells you, you know, don't smoke, don't do this, don't do that, because you could have a stroke.
don't drink.
We are some like our like, yo, being an African American woman is some struggle shit. I'm telling you sometimes, yo. I mean, I would not trade it with anything else. I would not trade it with nobody. I would pick it every time. But our literal DNA makes us susceptible to certain things. And not for nothing, they don't test it on someone like us. They test it on somebody other than. You know what I'm saying? And other than's DNA is not the same as us. It's not the same. We're not, you know, we could say, okay, yeah, you know, it's only the color and everything. Nah, man, there's some DNA stuff going on in there that makes us susceptible to certain things. And we got to start looking at the susceptibility of that. And we can't just be taking birth control pills for 20 years.
Right.
And then expecting, oh, I want to have a baby now, so let me just stop and I'm about to pop a couple babies out. That's not a thing for everybody.
Right.
That's definitely not a thing for everybody. You know what I mean? Like it's a mind fuck sometimes. Like, oh shoot. So wait, I'm now in my 30s and I now want to have children and I can't. Not just because of birth control, but because of in general thing called geriatric pregnancy nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Like people get, you know, it's a thing. So you gotta start looking out for yourself. Stop look out for yourself, sisters.
So
Nothing
what
else.
about when we're just not in the mood to be touched anymore? What about that?
That's a thing.
It is.
Yeah, because if the mood ain't right, like your mind got to be right for the mood to be right, and that's anybody and everybody. It's not just females, because
Yeah.
I'm not into it. You know, because I can't be loving up on you, and I'm thinking about, man, I gotta wash these dishes in the sink and fold these clothes when they get out the dryer. Like that's, you know, that's
I'm
not,
the only one working, and these kids
know.
just running around.
if you can't think about tomorrow and the kids recital, and it's hard sometimes. It really is. And I talk about, you know, to my clients all the time about, you know, how they balance being a mom, being a wife, and then having all these roles, and you know, performing at work and doing that, you know, just being a boss in every facet of your life is hard to do. So when you're in the moment, it's hard to just cut everything off. And yeah, we talk about the importance of like taking the time to actually slow down and creating space.
Mhm.
I mean, it gets hard. So you have to take those moments out, even if it's just like a little quickie on the stairs. I don't know. I just, you know, you can't even make it to the bedroom. I don't know. Just whatever. Date
She
night.
said you can't even make it to the bed.
That's fun. Like to me,
Oh, no, I didn't say it wasn't. I'm just saying it's the way you said
but
it.
that's what I imagine. Like, you know, like we can't eat. Ooh, it's so fun. We can't even make it upstairs. Oh my God. Like draws everywhere. But no. I mean, I'm like a hopeless romantic too. So yeah, I be listen. It began hot in the scene for me. I mean, these little daydreams. But yeah, like
Everything is a scene on a show. Like, wait,
Y'all are so cute.
I wish
real thing though, like for real. Like you gotta.
Look, I am not 20 no more, and I still have those what we call
Yeah.
those teenage, you know,
Rom-com.
like, I want to pick the exact right song and the right music.
Oh,
Like, I got a
Lord.
light in my house that changed
You
different
know.
colors. You know, I don't know. I get it, but I
All the
love it.
feels.
But
So-
there are some health. And I said this to y'all earlier jokingly. I'm gonna speak for the Fitted Club,
The fitty.
the Fitted Club. So as we get older, like some of us, thank God I don't, but I mean, but some of us, as it's been mentioned, have hypertension, other chronic illnesses, lupus, diabetes,
Mhm.
you know, just
Lots of
things
things.
that truly impact our libido, that truly impact our mental, because that's been said several times this evening. And it's important that that piece of it is acknowledged, because for the woman, I want you to know it's okay
Yes.
It's okay. Because guess what? To throw some humor in here, that man that want it, baby, when he let him keep living, as the old folks say, keep living, baby. And
Right.
guess what? It ain't gonna be working either. So that's my humor for the 50 plus
That's
club. But I just
That's
need y'all to
facts.
understand, like for
Yeah.
right now, it's okay. Um, and what I tell people when I've had conversations with with others on this topic is be able to find creative ways to make some things happen, because we talked about it earlier, like we don't want our man or our partner to feel like we don't want them, because it has nothing to do with you per se.
Mhm.
It's all about us and our medical health.
Mhm.
And it's out of our control, as far as the impact that it has. So
Mhm.
you kind of got to think outside of the box. So that's where Madam Pleasure Plug, her beautiful self, she comes into play, dun, 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 with the superhero shirt on, to save the day. But you have to have conversation and think outside of the box, and it's okay. Um, really, really quickly, when we was talking about um, really quickly when we were talking about menopause and all of that. Every woman is different.
Mhm.
Thank God I haven't had the issue of dryness, but I do know that some women do. I'm the opposite. I'm just be transparent, but um,
Right now.
yeah, because
Okay.
everybody's perimenopausal experience is different.
Mhm.
As miscommunication said, like I went through a period of a 30-day cycle, and my husband was like, "Look at here!" Like that by day 27, he was like, "Look at here, look at here! I need you to I need you to go ahead and schedule that doctor's appointment." And I did, and we talked about some options as miscommunication had spoke to. And I was like, well, look, let me wait and see if this thing happens again, if it's just an isolated situation. And it did happen again. And when it happened again, I was like, look here, yeah, we need to implement some type of strategy to address this, because I can't go around, like you said, miscommunication. I can't go around here, and as soon as I get up, literally, you can feel that clot, plop, and it ain't no small clot. I'm
No.
trying to take a shower, and it's just like,
Clock.
yeah,
Horrible. Yeah.
like I'm washing and I'm steady washing, because it's
Hmm.
like, and oh my God. So praise God, that's done, because I went ahead and got that lovely IUD. But um, and for me, that was my option, miscommunication, because it wasn't at a point where, first of all, I'm perimenopausal. So in a few years, by
It's
the
gonna
time
be
it's gonna be going bye-bye. And then when they take the IUD out, so that I'm riding this IUD train right now.
okay. Good.
So that way I don't have to go to that extent of seeking something a little bit more
Drastic.
exactly.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to tell folks is this: no matter what your age is, if you don't use it,
You gonna lose it.
you will. And
Yeah.
when we was talking about is it vaginismus? Am I saying it correctly?
Vaginismus, girl.
When we're talking about that, where your vagina contracts because it's spasm. It's just like when you have an orgasm, that same feeling. If that man is inside of you, and because it has happened, where the man, because it happens sometimes for women when they're having an orgasm, when that thing locks down, it is painful. It is painful for her, and if he's inside, it's going to be painful for you. You need to have conversation. If you don't use it, ladies, your vaginal opening is going to go back to the way it originally was created to be.
Wow.
Well, that
Wow.
happens
So,
also to your clitoris, just in case y'all don't know.
and
What
so
you said?
when
What now? Oh, wait, what?
It also
she
happens
said
to
it
your
happens to your
clitoris.
clitoris too.
Oh.
It'll draw up. And so what happened, yeah. And so when you
Whoa.
get ready to have sex, it's going to be painful. So and my beautiful sister Plug has said this, but I'm gonna say this, because she said I need to stop saying this, but I'm gonna say this. which is I'd rather for you to utilize some type of vaginal stimulation by means of a toy to keep your vaginal opening open than you just walking around here with nothing.
Which is shut.
I mean, with
official shutdown. With official shutdown.
Well, some
Yes,
people don't
like,
even do
seriously,
Kegels. They don't
yeah.
even do their Kegels. They just
Right, and that's also part of menopause, ladies. If you don't do them Kegels, if you don't do these exercises, if you don't take care of your reproductive system, those organs down there, yeah, you're gonna be walking around, with incontinence. And listen, and I just read, Pearl, because you mentioned this earlier, and I got tickled about this too on the inside. I read. Matter of fact, I think it was yesterday. I meant to put it in our group that the rise of throat cancer has been contributed to women because more women are being diagnosed with throat cancer because of oral sex. So, what is this telling us? This is telling us, ladies, we need to stop going around putting our mouth on every time
and everybody.
Brown Henry. Stop doing it, because, and we talked about this on a previous episode, everybody sexual organ has its own organisms that's on it. Baby, you can't be putting your mouth on any and everybody. Y'all better stop this. And this goes for no matter what your sexual preference is. You need to be mindful of who you put your mouth on.
And I'm going to read the exact headline. It says, oral sex is fueling an epidemic. And it used that word, an epidemic of throat cancer. Doctors warn those with 6 or more lifetime oral sex partners are 8.5 times more likely to develop cancer.
Right.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Questions, because usually in an epidemic until the white folks get involved. So it sounded
exactly. I'm with you there. I was like, it's not us.
Right there, right?
It is not us. It is.
Because that means, so that also means you letting just anybody come in there too. Because that's what I took from it.
That
ain't just from skin.
I would like to point
y'all
out,
better stop swallowing,
because y'all keep talking about us.
It ain't us.
Partners. That means men and women.
Yes.
You just be walking up and licking, hey, what's your name again? And you like, no. Don't do it.
I need to see some paper before I put my mouth on you. And I'm washing with antibacterial.
Baby,
that's a challenge. That's a challenge, though. That's a challenge. Let's be real. That's a challenge. I think.
See, she done got tickled on the inside. I
did, because I think one of the biggest challenges I'm seeing, and from the outside, right, is we are so worried about what the other person's gonna think and what the other person is gonna say and being seen a specific way. Especially, I'm saying this, especially I see some of my younger queens, that you forget that you're not worried about what you think about yourself and what your body is saying to you. Your body, what your body says is more important than what anybody says, right? We only have one body.
Right.
That is supposed to stick with us till the final day, second.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
But are we so concerned about what someone else is going to say and how embarrassing it is? You know, it's more embarrassing knowing that you knew better, go to the doctor and find out you was right. That's more embarrassing. Like, I know I shouldn't do this, but he fine, or she's fine, or she a baddie. And then you go to the doctor and be like, you know what's in your throat? That baddie.
Okay.
That baddie. Right. You know why you keep getting that weird discharge, and all the spray and soap that you put down there is not helping? Because you should have known better. It should not come out looking like cottage cheese, right? It's but these are things that some of our girls are living, and women are living with.
Because we're learning by doing. We're not having the conversations. We're not getting the education. We're just
experience. Some experiences are the lowest form of wisdom. Some wisdom you don't have to have experience to go through. You
Right.
get what
Just
I'm saying?
listen. Just learn
And
how to listen.
But listen, we have people who are allowing themselves to be banged out, anal, vaginal, whatever. It is overusing it is almost as bad as underusing it.
Correct.
Okay, so we have to listen to our bodies and we have to feel like what we feel and what we experience is more important than being accepted. Because, like I tell some of the people I train, if you don't accept yourself, how can you be mad at someone else who doesn't?
Absolutely.
How? You don't even like you. So why you worry about someone else liking you?
Right.
And
And
that
be-
goes for your body. That's what I'm saying. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna piggyback off of you, Pearl, and just say be okay. And Plug is going to appreciate this. Be okay touching yourself the
Yes.
same way you. And I don't know why I be doing this every time I get on this show. I start, but yeah, I start touching my book. But like the same way that that we do a manual check of our breasts because we're supposed to do that every month, right? Self check.
Yes.
The same way that you self check your breasts, you need to self check your vagina.
Absolutely.
Go up in there and I got nails on right now, which I really don't like, but anyway, and because I have a thing about I have a thing about the hardness of these nails and also bacteria and things getting up underneath the actual between the nail and the nail.
Yeah.
But you still need to take the time to inspect yourself internally. Absolutely. Because you can find out and discern for yourself if you have fibroids. Because trust me, when you insert your finger, you will feel those nodules along the lining.
Yes,
you will. You'll know what's going on with you.
And even I'll add to it. I was just gonna say, I'll add to your point. You can make that an intimate thing for you and your lover. That's something your lover can do. Give you a breast check, give you a vaginal check, because that's y'all taking the moment to slow down anyway, right? So okay, well, baby, we're gonna wrap this self-care, self-love into this. I'm just saying, you can always find a moment.
I think we have a lot of people who have partners and sexual partners, but they don't have trust. And I think sometimes we assume, at least I know amongst the four of us, we assume if you have a partner, you trust them. And that's not the case. And it's weird because to me, there should be a level of trust but you know what? Here I am again, putting sex on a pedestal when it's not.
No, I got it. I understand.
Because sex is different. Sex is completely. I feel as though sex and intimacy, they know, they can have a thing together, but sometimes you don't need. Listen, sometimes you don't need that.
That's true.
Yeah, but there's more repercussions with sex, and
yes, you're 100% right. And some people are okay with the repercussions. You know what I'm saying? Like listen, I'll be blunt as hell. Sometimes I don't want all of that. All I want is the just sex. I don't want all of that. You know what I'm saying? And then there's sometimes when I do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the other thing. It's like, yes, there's going to be a bunch of times when in your life, because there's a time, like I said, incurable romantic, been there, done that, wrote a book about it, and a song, soundtrack, and all of things. And now I'm at the point, like I said, is this, I went through it. I'm in another stage. You know what I'm saying? I'm specifically at another stage where sometimes it's just sex for sex.
Yeah.
I like you and we like each other and everything be flowing and everything be popping and everything, all them things there. But sometimes it's like, I'm not interested in making an emotional investment right now. That's just me. Right. But at the end of the day, it does not diminish the sexual experience whatsoever for me. I'm not talking about for nobody else, but for me. Right. Mm-hmm. And it's like, again, it's like the conversations depend on the person that you're with. Some people, if you can't have that conversation, it might not be the person that you want to be with, right? That's that thing. Or if you don't care to have a conversation with the person because all you want to do is have sex, mm-hmm. that's I guess I want to say it's okay too. Mm-hmm. It is okay because at the end of the day, that's what you want to do. However, there are repercussions. That's the big thing. It's the repercussions part. Don't act like you're a big girl and you put on your big drawers, and then when the repercussions come, you acting like, oh shit, now there's repercussions. Just know that that's a thing too, right?
Gotcha. Okay. So we are actually all the way up to the hour. So I'm gonna start off with pleasure plug. Do you have any closing words on the life of sexual struggle?
This is good. This is good. Y'all know this is my era. But I'll just say, like, either way, make it so that you are communicating with your partner so that you are able to enjoy each other, whether or not that involves sex. Okay, because regardless of over, especially if you're together for a while, you get familiar with the person. So you just want to make sure you're able to still be intimate, right? And they don't have nothing to do with sex. Like, boo, hold me, hey boo, I need my feet rubbed, whatever, but being able to communicate what you need with your partner. And yeah, the last thing I'll say is, like, if I can't talk to you, if I don't feel safe enough telling you what makes me comfortable, then I can't put that thing in my mouth. Period. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm just saying.
Miscommunication.
I'm gonna say it again. I think I've said this a couple of times in the show, but I want to just make sure my sisters hear me. Please go get yourself checked out.
Absolutely.
If you can't go, if you don't want to go by yourself, bring a friend. You could actually make this a thing where you got sisters and cousins and aunts, whatever, and y'all could do this together. Plan it out. Say, you know what? Let's okay. So this date, let's go. We're gonna go every year together. Make it an anniversary, whatever it is. But make sure you're taking care of yourself medically. Everything else is gonna stem from that, right? So please take care of yourself. Go get those pap smears. Go get those mammograms. And if you're at a certain age, there's a thing called bone density. Get that too. Okay. get all those things taken care of. All right.
What about you, doctor?
Only thing just to reiterate is simply it's okay to have sexual challenges that are related to things out of your control, whether and specifically medical conditions. Those things are out of your control, and it's okay. And don't feel ashamed that things are different. Just accept that they are different. Have a genuine conversation with your partner or your mate, and find a happy medium for both of y'all, and just live your best life. But take care of yourself.
Thank you, ladies. I think I'm just going to echo everything everyone said. The importance of trust in your body and in your partner in order to communicate, and also to communicate and be honest with yourself to go get checked up, and just get, no surprises. You want a surprise, have a surprise party, do something like that. But don't, do that. And we are in 2023. There's so much advancement in the medical field for challenges that years ago, our moms, our aunties, our grandmas, it was just like, you got it, and that's that, and let's move on. So I think that intimacy is wonderful with sex, and if you're just gonna have sex, that's fine too. But it's not a one-person show. So make sure that you show up to the show, because like I tell the people I train, you got to show up to show out. So if you are not in pain, if you're in pain, you're not going to be able to show out. So, and there's so much information that you could get about it, so you're not left guessing. So we want to take the time out to say thank you to our experienced family for joining us tomorrow, tonight, and joining in the discussion. And if you're watching this after our live recording, please still feel free to put in your comments. We check them all the time. We respond as much as we can when we see them. So we appreciate all of you, and we thank you for joining the experience, where the experience is always good. Have a great Sunday, fam. Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.